You are listening to the What a Word podcast, an interview style podcast where guests bring their unique experiences and insight on culture, life's challenges, and faith. Each episode is seasoned with words which will inspire and encourage. Now, here is your host, Ryan Sharp.
Welcome and thanks for joining me for another episode of the What a Word podcast. As you know, it's a weekly interview style podcast where we share inspirational and encouraging stories from guests about life's challenges, faith, culture. And this podcast, as many of you know, started at the heights of the pandemic. And I wanted to put out inspirational stories from real people. And I want to thank those of you who each week, whether it's on the podcast because you're driving or commuting or working out, and you want the audio to inspire and hear stories from individuals who have similar stories to yours, or may have uh, uh, individuals who share stories that you can connect hope and resilience with what they've shared. I want to thank you for tuning in each week. And even when you have the opportunity, because for some of you, it's a matter of catching up with the episodes. So I want to thank you that when you do have the opportunity with your schedules, that you check it out, you give feedback, etc. You post updates, you share, you subscribe. Those mean a lot to me. Those activities mean a lot to me. And only recently, I started a YouTube channel because many of you have expressed that you want to be able to see the interactions between me and my guest. And my daughter was recently promoted to the creative director of the technical side of the podcast. So the videos that you see, the promotions, are her work. And I want to commend her for her willingness. She's only 11 years old, but her grasp of the technical side of things has enhanced what we do. And my family is all a part. My wife's voice serves as the introduction to the podcast. And every now and then you can see my son walk by and wave to guests. So my family is involved in so many ways with the podcast. I'm honored today to have the opportunity to speak with Mikell Butler. I did not know him, or I had not met him prior to connecting this way, but he shared a post that I would like to say went viral, so to speak, because a friend of mine commented on it, and then I learned about it. I reached out to Mr. Butler, and he was willing to share his story and his journey with the listeners and viewers. Mr. Butler is a certified addiction recovery coach and a certified recovery peer advocate. But he shares a story, and he shares it in the social media space, a personal story. And the responses were tremendous. And I'm honored to have him on the podcast today to share. I want you to join me in welcoming Mikell Butler to the What a Word podcast. Welcome, Mikell. How are you doing today?
How you doing, Mr. Sharp? It's a
Good,
pleasure
man.
to be here.
Good.
Pleasure to
I'm
be here.
honored. So as I shared with listeners, and before we even started speaking, I asked you for the pronunciation of your first name, and you did indicate it's Mikell. And
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, I looked up your name, which has a unique spelling and sound. And I saw that there is an interpretation of that name in the Hebrew, one who resembles God. Is that what you were given as the meaning of your name when you were given your
Don't get me to lying, man. I just know that that's name. And it's a very unique name. From my understanding, I was named after my father. So that's really all I know about my name. But once we had spoken, I looked it up as well, and it says something about God in Hebrew or something to that nature.
name? Okay, awesome. So as I indicated to listeners, a very unique name, but your work is also very unique. And what you shared in the social media space, it's not common for people to share their struggles the way that you did. Could you just share with listeners what you shared and why you shared it?
Again, my name is Mikell, and I'm a blessed addict in recovery. What I shared was, a milestone in my recovery, of being clean, from active addiction and the lifestyle. Because as they say, if the drugs don't get you, the lifestyle will. And it basically, I shared something in that post saying like, I no longer am selling dope, but I'm selling hope. Because I grew up. I'll just give you a rundown of my story. The disease of addiction, right? I've come to find out that it's my thinking. Once too many, a thousand's never enough of anything for me. I have a personality that I just like more. Money, more girls, more sex, more clothes, more sneakers, more drugs, right? And that's how I say it ties back into what the drugs don't get you the lifestyle will. I was attracted to the lifestyle. My first addiction was money. I grew up in a barbershop. I used to make a little bit of some money every day, helping my grandfather out. Then it also went to validation, wanting to be validated, not wanting to hurt the community by selling drugs, but I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be liked. So I did the things that attracted me that I seen the older guys doing, right? Which turned my life upside down, so to say. State prison bids, county, and numerous times in and out of county jails, rehabilitation centers. My first rehab was at the age of 17. I thought I wasn't that bad because I was just smoking weed, not knowing that that was the gateway drug for me. At the end of the road, I was spiritually, mentally, emotionally bankrupt. Come to find out, after revealing some things, I'm a part of a fellowship. I'm not going to endorse the fellowship, but I'm a part of a fellowship with the step work that we do. And the step work is working on the inside of you. I always used to work from the outside in, right? Better yet, I didn't even work on the inside. I just worked on the outside. Jewelry, sneakers, again, clothes, right? I wanted you to think that I was okay, right? Long as you thought that I was okay, I was okay. But at the end of the night, right? Like you lay your head on that pillow and you by yourself, So I wanted to numb the pain. I come to find out, right, after doing some work on myself, right, that I have abandonment issues. 37 years old. I don't know my real father, so that played a big part. So I went to the streets, to the guys in the streets that I looked up to, and I thought what validated me to be what made a man was how many women you slept with, what kind of car you drove, what you're wearing, how you fight, how many times you've been to jail, the insanity, you know what I'm saying? Like I learned that the street smarts ain't that smart once you get clean, So I did the things that that I gravitated towards, and I paid the repercussions. Insecurities, trust issues, right? Because I learned not to trust people because I was dealing with people in the streets that couldn't be trusted because I couldn't be trusted. So when I trusted in them and the things didn't go the way that I expected them to go, that just blew it for everybody. It got to the point where I didn't even trust myself. I became a liar, manipulator, cheater, stealer, everything under the sun, man. Everything under the sun, my drugs of choice, right, was more. As I spoke to you earlier, was more. My graduation period from one drug to the next, marijuana, little bit of alcohol. My grandmother died of alcoholism. She was a so-called functioning alcoholic. She always held a job, but at the end of the day, she paid. You know, I went, like I said, I went from marijuana, drinking a little bits of alcohol, you know, to popping, you know, Oxycontins, Percocets, Vicodins, to having a bad heroin addiction, to smoking PCP, you know, to selling crack cocaine, to sniffing cocaine, to smoking the crack rock. You know, heavyweight champions of the world, man. Undefeated, man, undefeated. You know, it will knock you out and take everything from you. Worst of all, I lost myself. I became a slave and a prostitute, right? To a drug, a substance with no heartbeat. I've learned, right, that sometimes, you know, being attracted to the street life, we think that there was someone we're really not. And you know, I thought I was the man. You know, I thought, you know, all these so-called friends that I had were my actual friends. That I thought that they loved me unconditionally. But there was conditions on the love. Because everything was ulterior motive based. It's like, I'm gonna do this for you because I know you could do this for me. I'm talking about, like, you know, going sitting upstate, you know, in a dorm, right? I remember, like, you know, my awakening came, like, you know, it was July 6th, 2017. I was on a bid and I was in transportation. You know, I cut hair, you know, I was smoking K2, you know, cutting hair, getting weed, getting bricks of cigarettes. I was doing that stuff, you know what I'm saying? And they kept calling mail. They kept calling on the mail. I think it was like every day, like 4:00 before we used to go to chow hall. And the only person that was writing me was my mom, you know? And, you know, I see all these guys, they getting mail from girls and, you know, dudes on the block and this, that, and the third, only for a minimal amount of time though, right? And it kind of hurt my feelings. That's the exact nature, that my feelings was hurt. My pride and my ego was stabbed, right? Because it was like, damn, I was this, you know, in the streets. I could think of all the people that, you know, being a full-blown addict in addiction, right? You know, I used to be at people's house putting food in their babies' mouths, right? And it made me hold a resentment towards these people, right? Because none of them wrote me. So it's like, when the rubber hits the road, who's really gonna be there for you? You know, family. And it wasn't like that, like that I didn't love my family. I was just caught up in the grips of addiction, you know. And it was a real slippery slope. You know, they say jails and institutions are death, right? But the crazy thing is it's not even crazy, is we don't get to pick what the outcome's gonna be. I could use, right, take my will back, right, and I could overdose immediately. Or I could smoke some crack and my heart could pop, right? I used to think that I could just smoke weed, you know, but I like more. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, once too many, 1,000 never enough of anything for me, man. You know, today in life, I got balance, man. You know, I put myself around some people that seen something in me that I ain't seeing myself. I put myself around some people that loved me and showed me what real love, unconditional. We're talking about love with no conditions, you know, with no ulterior motives. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, if I stand back to, like, me not knowing my father at the age of, you know, being 37 years old, right? The gifts of recovery got me in a position where I was able to reach out to my father and be okay, right? Be okay with the fact that with if he didn't reach back out, which he didn't, but I'm okay because I did my part. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a slippery slope too, because, you know, that can make or break a person trying to reach out to your father because you think that you did something wrong being as a child, right? And them not reaching back out, that could cause an addict to go back into a depression and a full-blown funk and use behind it. Because why? They don't feel worthy of having a father, right? I had a stepfather, and I didn't understand his discipline. He was real strict on me, which caused me to rebel even more because I didn't know how to take in love in a different form rather than you buy me something. Or if a girl, we having sex, You love me. That was just my two ways of understanding love, you know. But we talk about, like, you know, in the fellowship I'm part of, we talking about, again, loving with no conditions. Can you still love that person even though you don't like the things that they're doing? Can you love that person, right? Let me say, can you meet a person where they're at, right? And be able to lift them up rather than beating them down. You know, so I put myself around business orientated people. I had to learn through my relapses, right? That I can't sell drugs and not do drugs. There's a little saying, they say a monkey can't sell bananas. So I learned that. I learned also that I had to deal with the things in the inside. I mean, going back to stemming from a little boy, wanting that father, wanting to be validated, wanting to be accepted, wanting to be, not saying I wasn't loved. My mother did. My mother loves me. She's always been there for me. My stepfather's always been there for me, but I didn't see it. I didn't see it at the time, you know. And now I understand, right? Because I don't like to say I know, because if I knew so much, I wouldn't have put myself in the situations time and time again. So I do say I do understand the method to his madness. I just was rebelling against it because I felt that he didn't want me to do anything, but he just didn't want me to end up like he's seen other people end up.
Wow,
right?
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. You gave us a lot of themes to think about. And something that occurred to me when you answered was you started off by speaking about what you defined as your recovery. And that's the milestone that, you know, I want to celebrate that with you as well, man. And going forward, I'm wishing you much success. And I want to thank you also for your transparency, because as I indicated in the beginning, social media has a way of just showing our best. But what you did in that post was you highlighted a struggle that many individuals have, and not only the individuals, but the families connected to those individuals share that struggle. You describe your mom and a girlfriend at the time, but you also indicate that it wasn't enough to stop you from the grips of, as you define it, the grips of addiction.
Yeah.
Amplify that for me.
Listen, man, I've been on parole. I've been on probation. Look, I shared the judge couldn't stop me. Parole couldn't stop me. Probation couldn't stop me. My mom couldn't stop me. My girlfriend at the time couldn't stop me. No one could stop me. I was locked and loaded in the grips of addiction, man. Like full-blown street life, street mentality, rob, steal, whatever, anything goes, man. Anything goes. Because that did something to my ego and did something to my pride. But besides, the grips of addiction had a hold on me. You know what I'm saying? It had a strong hold on me because why? I didn't want to feel the feelings. I wanted to numb the pain, right? And it kept me stuck. And let me tell you one thing, pride and ego keep you stuck too. And then you will wonder, and it'll kick up all these other types of feelings, right? That you're not worthy, that you're never amount to nothing, right? Especially if you have people in your past tell you that you was never going to amount to nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's not my story. But I put myself in situations around the people who were being told those things, and I acted as if, because I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I had to put myself around people like, that post, right? Let me share this, right? That post is on LinkedIn website, which is a business platform, right? I don't do Facebook. I don't do Instagram. Why? Two things. Facebook and Instagram I use for girls. Hey, I keep it real. I don't peach coat nothing, man. Facebook was only for girls keeping up with the Joneses, right? And it also had me comparing myself to people my age that were doing a lot better than me. And then it would bring me into a depression because I wasn't where I'm not where they're at. And it would bring my self-worth down, right? So the comparison, that's one. Two, me being addicted to the lifestyle and being comfortable. Let me not forget being comfortable with chaos, confusion, and pain. Comfortable. If that wasn't happening, something felt wrong. Right? So if I see, right, if I see some Balenciagas, if I see something Gucci, if I see some new Air Maxes and I'm broke, right? And I'm broke, operating off of a government phone, right? My addictive thinking to tell me, damn, you know how to get those real quick. You can go get X, Y, Z from this person, make 2 stops, boom, and you can have it by the end of the day. We talk about like we release our addiction all over again in different forms, besides just using the drugs, right? Because if there's any addicts in recovery that's listening to this, or any addicts that's in full-blown addiction, right, and they have some experience, right, they'll, we don't as an addict, for me, I'm gonna keep it on the eye, right? I ain't never woke up with a bank account with $10,000 or $5,000 in it, an apartment, a car, a good relationship, loving myself, right? Loving myself, and say, guess what? I want to smoke some crack today. Because guess what? I could put my family, myself, and all the materialistic things in the tip of that stem and take one hit and blow it all. Everything in one hit. One bag of dope. It will all be gone, because the first foremost thing that goes first is I go. Once I go, everything else goes right behind it. And then I become, again, locked and loaded on the grips of addiction, just trying to find the means and the ways, right? The means and the ways of getting one more, no matter who I gotta hurt.
Powerful. And Mikell, obviously, your name, as I indicated, had a meaning that I saw, and your work now points to service, a lot of service, because
Right.
you now serve as a certified addiction recovery coach, a certified recovery peer advocate. But before getting to that point, the point you are at now, you came to a point where you got tired, as you say, of being sick and tired. Describe for us the transition from being in the grips of addiction to now seeking out support and help and saying enough is enough of, where I am now. I want the help I need.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start off by saying, I'm grateful today. I ain't wake up this morning looking for a hit of crack to get my day started. Like, I'm grateful today that I ain't wake up looking for a bag of dope to get myself fixed, right? Like, before I could say I'm doing anything, right? Because once I start, I'm locked and loaded on just doing that. That's my primary focus. My responsibilities, they go out the window, right? It got to a point where I got tired of, we talk about getting it. It's easy to get it, but it's hard to keep it, right? So I was wondering why I'm getting this stuff and then I'm just losing it all. Yeah, I'm using, but what is causing me to use, right? I got tired. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got sick and tired of waking up, right? Or even if I went to sleep after being up 4 days straight, running the strip, running the streets, you know what I'm saying? Blisters on my feet, you know what I'm saying? Like up 4 or 5 days straight, right? Just trying to chase that hit, trying to chase that one more, or nodding out from a a dope nod and waking up sick and having to use the bathroom, body going through just crazy feelings, man. Like, I got tired of breaking relationships, telling my mother I'm sorry, telling, the girlfriend I'm sorry, telling it's gonna be this last time. Right. I had an apartment. Like I said, I had an apartment. I had some things, man, but them things ain't keep me clean. Right. Them things ain't keep me clean. So I got that, pain. Listen, when the pain get great enough, you're going to do something different. Right. And the pain got great, man. The pain got great, man. I felt homeless having a home. I was homeless and I had a home because the streets became my primary purpose. I felt like I was always missing something in the streets, man. Always. But the streets don't love you. The streets don't love me. It don't love you. It's a vicious cycle, man. It's going to chew you up and spit you back out. Chew you up and spit you back out. I got tired of being spit back out, bro. I had to do something different. Change my playmates, playgrounds, and play places, man. I had to put myself around some people that believed in me, like I said, right? And seen something in me, seen the potential in me that I ain't seeing myself. So on my journeys going in and out of rehab, in and out of rehabs, right? Like the counselors, when I share my story, they say, yo, man, you got a powerful message, man. You could help someone. You could help someone. But guess what? I ain't believe it. I thought I was going to live in jail for the rest of my life. In and out, in and out, in and out, right? I kept going back to rehab by the grace of God, because check this out. We call it the gift of desperation. Pain is a motivator, right? That was a gift, man. And I remember my last relapse. The crack wasn't running out. It wasn't running out. I was on a suicide attempt, right? The counselors kept telling me this, yo, everywhere I would go, they would tell me, yo, listen, every time I start talking and whatnot, right? And this last time it hit me. It hit me. So I started doing some service work for this fellowship that I'm a part of, right? I started carrying the message into jails and institutions, right? I started speaking at meetings, right? And I finally felt a part of. Not like that black sheep, right? But freedom ain't free. In order to get free, it requires work that needs to be done on yourself. Because they say you're only as sick as your secrets, man. Right? Today, I have no secrets. Today, I'm okay with one God, one fellowship, one girl. Because I learned I can't be slick and be cool at the same time, man. Because when I'm trying to straddle the fence, I always fall. And I always fall on the worst side, So, like I said, I've been to state prison. I got an 18A number, right? Which they call a DIN number. I got a DIN number, but I also got New York State credentials as well. You see my wall? Those are all plaques, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the proof. That's the hope right there. Because if I could do it, anybody could do it, man. But you got to be willing to do the things you really don't want to do. But how about working on the things that you really don't want to do? Because 9 times out of 10, the thing that you really don't want to do is the thing that really needs to be done. So I had to do something different, man. I had to take suggestions from people who got what I want, who got 30 years clean. How did you get that? Like, I had to be hungry. Like, how did you get 30 days clean? Besides 1 day at a time. Please help me, show me, because I don't know how to live clean. Right? And I'm learning about myself day by day on a daily basis, what I'll tolerate, what I won't tolerate, what I'll accept, what I won't accept, you know what I'm saying? What I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do, right? But, like I said, the gift of desperation, the pain, guess what? I'm willing to do whatever it takes and whatever I got to do to stay clean 1 day at a time, sometimes 1 minute at a time, sometimes 1 second at a time, because ain't nobody said being clean, right? Life on life's terms was going to be easy. Because being in recovery is a lifestyle. Because let me tell you, I was clean and crazy too. I had 22 months clean, but I was crazy as hell. I was selling drugs. I had 8 different girls I slept with. Like, I was doing a lot of different things. Not realizing I was filling a void because I wasn't okay with myself. I was still looking for acceptance. I was still looking for validation. I was still wanting to be needed, right? Looking for love and acceptance in all the wrong places. What makes, look, the insanity of disease, I'm just grateful today I'm able to share my experience, strength, and hope, because I'm a street dude. I am not nothing special. But today I got some credentials today, right? Today I'm all about helping other people. Today I'm giving back what was so freely given to me. Today I work with a sponsor. Today I have I go to attend men's groups, right? Men's group where we talk about things that men usually don't talk about. Whatever kind of problems it is, if it's having problems in the bed with your woman, if it's having problems with your feelings and emotions, right? We help each other get through this. And I'm the baby of the bunch. everybody that I'm with is 40, 50, 60 years old, right? And not only do I watch, and some of them, some are, we put down the drugs, but we still sick in other areas, right? This is a program of progress rather than perfection. Again, recovery is a lifestyle, doing everything different that you always did, because if you did what you always did, you're gonna get what you always got. So I had to put myself around some different people, right? That's positive, that's upbeat, right? That believe in a higher power, right? Because I didn't believe in God when I first came around, because my mom used to tell me, yo, get on your knees and pray. But when I used to pray, I never used to hear nothing back. So I said, you know what, man, I don't know what all this God stuff you talking about, but hey, I'm doing what I want to do. And now I got with my sponsor, and I was doing some step work. That thing I was talking about, that step work stuff, right? Like he told me when I shared my story with him, in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of rehab, in and out of rehab, almost nearly dying by eating 7 bags of dope, trying to not get knocked with him because he got pulled over by the police with a loaded handgun. Look, God was there, because God didn't find a handgun, and I didn't get violated on parole. But the next, I went to sleep and I woke up, and guess what? The bags that I ate were fentanyl, and I almost died. Thank God my neighbor was downstairs. I knocked on her door. She called the ambulance, and they had to Narcan me 3 times. Right? So I went through some pain, man. I went through some pain. I almost had a rude, a fatal catastrophe, because the disease is my man always says it's fatally attractive and fatally cool. Fatally. A lot of people overdose because, they go into treatment facilities and they come out, right? And, when they use, they decide, right? Because it's a choice, right? But it's hard when you're locked and loaded on it. When you're obsessing and compulsing over it, that choice, it becomes it becomes an action. And then they say you use right where you left off at. And, people shooting 5 or 6 bags of dope. They've been clean for 8 months, and they shoot 5 or 6 bags of dope, and guess what? They die.
Mikell, I wanted to ask you, you speak with such conviction. Did you know prior to this that you'd be that was a gift, that was a part of your gift, a part of your giftedness, speaking into lives of other individuals? Does it still blow your mind that you do it and people respond in the ways they do?
I just real recognizes real. What comes from the heart touches the heart. I can't premeditate anything. I could just share my experience, strength, and hope, right? My experience is drugs, the lifestyle, right? My strength came from being around people who believed in me, right? Which built my spiritual muscle. And my hope is where I'm at today. It is what it is. And like I said, every day ain't peachy, man. Listen, I battle demons on a day-to-day basis, man. I battle demons on a day-to-day basis. Do I want to sell crack? Yeah, I want that instant gratification, right? But am I willing to suffer the consequences behind the instant gratification? Like, am I willing to suffer those consequences? Saying sorry again, right? Putting my life at stake again, right? I'm in a good relationship today. Someone who actually shows me the love that, I've been looking for, right? And as they say, when you don't go looking for it, that's when the one comes. So much easier living a productive, it's so much more appreciative, because it's a process. Everything's a process, trusting in the process, right? And I'm gonna leave it like this, like, right? Like, I trust in the process when I gave that guy my money to go get me them drugs, right? It was a process of me calling the dealer, right? Finding out where he's at, going to meet up with him, going to the store to get whatever I need, then leaving the store and then finding a place to get high. It was a process. Everything was a process, which added up to me getting high. So why couldn't I trust in the process of living life on life's terms? Because throughout this process, right, my higher power prepares me for the greater gift. Because I ask people, right, when I speak in treatment facilities and stuff, I says, yo, all right, 60 days clean, 90 days clean. Everybody wants to work. They want their kids back, this, that, and the third. They want a car. They want a job. I says, let me ask you a question. If God was to give you everything you asked for tomorrow, would you be able to handle it? And the answer is no, because God prepares you for these things, or whatever you want to, God, Allah, Buddha, whatever you want, the God of your understanding, your higher power, whichever you choose to call God, it don't matter. Whatever it is prepares you for it. Because if you get it instantly, you ain't gonna be able to maintain it. You ain't gonna know how to maintain it. Right? And this has all come through my process, because again, when the pain gets great enough, you just throw up your hands like, yo, you know what? I can't do this no more. Please guide me in my recovery and show me how to live.
Walk us through what you do now in your capacity as a certified addiction recovery coach and a certified recovery peer advocate.
Well, what I do now, at this very moment, I work for a recovery resource center. I work actually, I would have never thought, I do service every day. I got individuals calling me from inpatient facilities, asking me suggestions on programs. I've been through halfway houses, 820 reintegration programs, community residences, supportive livings, 3/4. I've been through every phase of it. And I got people calling me, asking me for my suggestions and refer what I would refer them to. I do that on a regular basis. Addicts in recovery call me on a day-to-day basis, multiple times a day, asking suggestions on things. So that's what I do by nature. Again, I said I'm a part of a fellowship, right? I get asked to share my experience, strength, and hope, or share on certain steps. I do service, like I said, carrying the message of recovery to jails and institutions, right? Giving people the hope shot, not the dope shot, right? But at this very moment, I am looking for the right career in the field of recovery. New York State certified recovery coach, peer advocate, provisional. At this moment, I'm Medicaid billable. Right now, I do the janitorial work. I make great money, but it's not about the money to me. It's always about the money. You got to pay bills. You got to put food on the table. Yeah, I get it. But I'm looking to get in the field. And then possibly another 3 years from now, my goal is KSAC counselor. I talked to, county court, drug court. I've been through that. I've been through all the phases, man. So it's like no one could tell me that they can't do it. Like, you got to be ready to do it. You got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. You got to be sick and tired of being controlled and told what to do. But if you look at it on the other side, it's actually a good thing, because they're actually saving your life. I didn't see it there. I didn't see it like that back then. I didn't. And I kept rebelling. It kept me longer. I've been institutionalized, controlled by the state or by a county for, probably, I'm 30, gonna be 38, June 22nd. Probably about close to 17 years. And it's scary. I just maxed out on parole 3 weeks ago, but guess what? I'm on a life sentence of parole from drugs. I'm on a life sentence, man. I treat every day like I'm on parole. Listen, every day is a good day to use drugs. But guess what? I just can't figure out a good reason to pick it up. I can't. Because as long as I stay clean, I got a shot, because I got a clear mind, and I could call and talk to people and ask them suggestions on how to do this. When I use, I lose everything. My vision, my thoughts, everything's cloudy. So So right now, I live up in Albany, New York. Great recovery up here. Great. It's just like the lotto. You keep playing your number, man. It's gonna pop. And I got a lot of people reaching out to me. I got a couple of job offers. But I'm taking care of my license. That's also a gift of recovery. The record of my past, being a high speed chase back in 2010, has caught up with me. So I gotta, once I pay for my license, I got a lot of different avenues and a lot of things opening up for me. You know what I'm saying? So, today I am an asset. I'm not a liability.
Mikell, I want you to know how happy I am for you, man. And, as you've indicated, it's recovery. So on every given day, you're challenged with the temptations. And I'm rooting for your success. I'm proud of what you've done so far in terms of your own sobriety and helping others who are similarly challenged. Uh, Someone listening may be experiencing what you experienced, or they may be connected, they're a family member or a friend of someone who is in the grips of addiction. You've said, and I love that quote, that dealing with life, and you can paraphrase it for me, but it's something to the effect of dealing with life's challenges on its worst day is better than dealing with. Finish it for me, because you see where I'm going with it. Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
get you with another one. But listen, check this out. My worst day in active addiction cannot compare, right? It has no comparison on my worst day clean. It can't. It's two different worst. It's two totally different worst. My worst day in active addiction or my worst day clean cannot compare to my worst day in active addiction. It can't. There's no comparison.
Wow.
No comparison. I deal with life on life's terms, man, today. Life on life's terms. I'm living in the moment. I can only focus, right? I can only focus on where my feet are at.
Right.
Because when I start to project too much, when you start to project and think about the bigger picture, right? You like, for me, my experience is I forget about the steps I need to take to get to the bigger picture because I'm so caught up in the bigger picture. It's just like a haircut. The line up, right? The edge up is the detail. It makes the haircut stick out, right? The little things in life create the bigger picture for me.
So someone wants to know, Mikell, if it's possible. They're looking at you and you are a living, breathing, walking miracle. But they want to know, is it possible for me to break the grips of addiction and be in recovery like Mikell? I have a relative, a friend who is in the grips and I can't reach him. Mikell, say something to that person who is listening or viewing about the possibilities and the hopes.
The only thing you can do is pray. The reality, right? This is the reality, because we got some people that enable people because they'll justify in their brain, I'd rather give this to Billy or Bobby, and so they don't go out and steal something and get themselves hurt, or whatever the case may be. Guess what? You're not letting the pain get great enough for them. Unfortunately, maybe they might have to catch a state bid. Unfortunately, they might have to overdose, right? These are the things that have to happen in order for them to learn, because you cannot save no one. Only thing you can do is continue to keep your hand out, but set a very strong boundary. You must set a very strong boundary. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier about doing the things you really don't want to do, right? Because there's some things that people don't want to do because sometimes, for me, I thought that I was better than. Pride and ego leave you stuck, man. Things like that, right? The only thing I could tell somebody whose relative is caught up in the grips of addiction is pray for them, right? They have to have the desire. You can't have the desire for them. That's part of one of my relapses. Caring about, listen, check this out. I was being a listening ear for an individual, and I became spiritually bankrupt again because they drained me. They drained me. You gotta know when the boundary comes, where it's just like, yo, check it. Whoa. All right, well, I'm telling you what to do, but you ain't taking the suggestion. So listen, I'm gonna pray for you. You could always call me, right? And when you're ready, you're ready. But I'm still gonna love you though. I'm still gonna love you. I ain't gonna give you no money. If you want some food, I'll buy you some food. Right? If you need a place to stay, if you're actively using, I can't let you stay here. Listen, you can't hold the person's hand the whole time, man. You cannot want someone to recover more than they want to recover for themselves. Period.
And Mikell, finally, to the individual who, like you, they're in the grips now and they're looking at you and they're like, man, it's a powerful testimony. I get it, but I don't believe, or I'm not seeing how it could be my story. some word for that person now who is in the grips of addiction.
If a person's in the grips of recovery and they're watching this podcast right now, my number is 959, area code 202-0557, right? I could guide you this whole way through this, man. Again, it's about how much and how willing are you to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? That's I can't measure a person's desire to want to stay clean. I can't. No one can measure mine. I cannot judge a person and say, oh, they don't really want to stay clean, right? This is an action program, right? Because it talks about we make a decision, right, to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him, right? But we can make the decision, but the action, are you willing to take the action that comes along with the decision, man? Right? You could say that you're sick and tired, you don't want to do this no more. But how bad? How bad is it? Are you willing to go to any lengths? Like, just like you went to any lengths to get high? Like, right? Females, males, whoever, right? The way we put ourselves at risk in the streets. We talking about like hypodermic, dirty needles. I wasn't a shooter. I was a sniffer, but dirty needles, Hep C, AIDS, prostitution, right? We don't only play with the drugs, we play with our lives, man. This is a life or death situation, man. How bad do you really want to live? How bad do you really want to live? How bad? Anybody listening to this, man, if they really want recovery, I left my number. You could call me. I don't care where you're at. We can get you to Albany and get you your process started. Because you're gonna live clean. You're gonna live clean, and you're gonna die, man.
Awesome. Mikell, a transparent, motivational speaker, a certified addiction recovery coach, certified recovery peer advocate. Thank you so much for joining us on the What a Word podcast.
No problem, bro. Thank you for having me, man.
Most welcome.
All right.